Hi everyone, welcome back to our Spotlight series where we get to meet the incredible people behind the Nepal-US AI Hackathon and what drives them to support the community. That said, super excited because we have one of our mentors, Prakriti Regmi, a machine learning engineer at Smart Data Solutions, joining us today. So, Prakriti, thank you so much for doing this.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's dive right into it and start all the way in the beginning, eh?
हुन्छ हुन्छ
Um, can you share a little bit about your journey? For example, कहाँबाट चाहिँ सुरु भएको थियो? अनि
Mhm.
how did you end up where you are today?
Okay. So, I started my college back in 2019, right? And I started studying bachelor's in computer science, and the first 2 years I was so unsure about what field really I want to dive into as a developer. Like there were so many options, getting into game development, full stack development, and everything, right? And during the time, let me tell you, this is the time when we did not have ChatGPT or LLM so proficient. So I'm so happy I graduated before the LLMs came out. But yeah, AI was not that popular, at least in the space I was in. I was in Nepal. I am in Nepal. But right after I was in my second year, I got into this module where we were very much focused around learning the foundations of AI. We started from ground up, like learning the maths behind machine learning, then machine learning algorithms, then deep learning. And over the process, I figured out like, yeah, this is something that I like more than building websites.
Mhm.
That was something that I was more interested in. So yeah, doing that, I we had this small college community in the university I went into. It was called AI learners, and we used to do this little workshops, for where we used to teach students different ML algorithms. And I think that really helped me build a stronger foundation because you learn a lot by teaching. And yeah, over the process I felt like, yeah, this is something I want to do, and I started looking into different public communities around Nepal and even worldwide. And I came across this AIML community based in Nepal, and I joined their Slack channel. And it is through it that I got an internship in one of the
Wow.
US based companies. And I started developing as a machine learning intern. And there is where I built my first model that went into production. So yeah, that's how the journey started, and it's been, I think, more than 3 years of me building ML models, deep learning models, and I'm loving every part of it so far.
Wow, that is such an exciting journey. Sort of looking back, right?
Mhm.
Because when you first started, you weren't in ML and it was ML Magoyo, and now you have like a very decent amount of experience in it. Like, what are some lessons you've learned your ML AI ko journey ma, or like just key takeaways that you've seen?
Yeah, like I think when I was a student, or I would say a beginner looking forward to get into ML, I had this huge misconception that I need to be super excellent in just maths, or just building models, or the frameworks that we use to build models, like say TensorFlow or PyTorch or any of such modules. But actually, along with building models comes the part where I need to be good at integrating the model that I built, right? Because I need to communicate with the team or hand over the pipeline that is feasible for making the model usable, right?
Mhm.
So it's not just building model that I need to be focusing on, but am also a backend developer sometimes,
Mhm.
and if need be, maybe a very minimal UI developer too, to make to make a very quick proof of concept. So yeah, I think it's not just ML, but I should also be aware about, building APIs and deploying my models in some form. So yeah.
Wow, so not just ML, there are APIs, backend work, you're doing a little bit of everything, UX, UI. Any अहिलेको रोलमा चाहिँ like what does that look like for you?
So interestingly, the place that I work in right now, the fun thing is that ever since I started my journey, I've been very much in depthly, very much particularly working on document AI. The
Mhm.
previous company that I worked in, we worked for document AI for logistic, for shipping documents, right? That was the part. And right now I'm working on a company that works on making automation for US healthcare. So healthcare documents. So
Mm.
it's all around document AI. And Yeah, what my everyday life looks like is we work on different projects that makes unstructured data, transferring unstructured data into readable structured format much more quicker and accessible and very much smarter with AI. Now what it looks like is some projects could be like classifying what kind of document that is, to extracting my some information from the document that is of my interest. So we're using all, or we are trying to explore all possible open source models because we're dealing with PHI here. So yeah, finding out open source models, training them from scratch if need be, or even fine tuning the ones available. So that's what I do in a day to day basis. And like I mentioned earlier, I make sure that I integrate it and hand it over to the team to further use it.
Wow, this is for someone like me who's not in tech, uh,
Mhm.
I say the same thing to everyone. I'm like, when I hear all these words, API, USS2, I'm like, whoa, overwhelmed. Anyways, like that sounds really, really interesting. Um, switching gears, right? Because I think that was such a good summary of your journey. Switching gears to the hackathon, what made you
Mhm.
say yes to being one of the mentors for the Nepal-US AI Hackathon?
Okay, so I think this came out of from a very genuine interest, or I would say the kind of enjoyment I endure whenever it comes to mentoring. Because just last year, last term, I did also work as a FYP, final year project supervisor, for a bunch of students, and I absolutely loved the experience.
So what is
What
that? What is that?
it's like, students, undergrad students, they need to do a final year project in their final year.
Mm.
They work with the supervisor. So I was a supervisor for that in this college based in Kathmandu, and I really loved the process, right? So something that really excited me, because there were times when I met students actually got to learn the stack that they were doing. There were many a times that where I was learning a lot from them, and there were also many a times where we spent hours talking about the feasibility of the pipeline or the flow that they had designed of between the artifacts. So the entire thinking about efficiency, it really excites me. So yeah, I did not have to think twice before joining in as a mentor.
Well, we're super blessed to have you as one of the mentors.
This is exciting for me too. Super
So, you
exciting.
know how you touched up a little bit on how you've mentored before and you helped all these students with their projects, right? So
Hmm.
you're gonna have a very similar role in the hackathon, about
Yes.
because you've seen or like
Hmm.
experienced that side. For all the first-time hackers that's joining this hackathon, they might
Hmm.
be a little overwhelmed, they might be a little nervous. So
Yeah.
one or a couple pieces of advice that you may have for them, Ani, I think what would be really cool is यो प्रोजेक्ट्सहरू गर्दाखेरि पनि some might have like a they might struggle with how to even approach a mentor or like when to approach a mentor,
Hmm.
अनि the second part is like they might be working on something but might not be the right way
Hmm.
because there might always be a better way, right? So it's not funny if you want to touch up a little bit. I know I threw like a lot of questions, but
I'll try to get all of them answered, and please let me know if I missed something. Answer गर्दाखेरि. So the first thing definitely is your entire hackathon participate गर्ने participants. My suggestion would be is to make the most out of these 2 to 3 days that you have in hand, in order to you know get yourself involved in learning about different contemporary tech stack that people are using around. I think that is something that you will get to learn from maybe your mentors or the partners or the group members that you have in your team. That's very important. That will really help you broaden your idea of what's really happening in the tech industry, what's really popular. And also another thing is, because we have LLMs all around, I'm really scared that we will be wasting our time on using a lot of AI to write our codes. And because we are coding in just 2 to 3 days, and we don't want to get into this loophole of just fixing bugs, right? And that
yeah.
happens when we write code with LLM. So what I would suggest is to maybe prefer refer to documentation, the official documentations of whatever stack that you're following. that's that's some few suggestions when it comes to coding or building products. And the other thing is, because the hackathon is going to be an open platform where you can bring bring any idea that you have and turn it into action. If you have a burning idea in you for quite some long, maybe this is the time to start implementing it, because you also have a mentor with whom you can talk to, maybe verify how efficient it is, right? So maybe you can bring that idea on and start implementing it, talk about it, and start doing it. Now, the other thing that you talked about, whether to identify कि मैले गरेको project or the thing that I've thought of is correct or not, त्यसलाई चाहिँ कसरी एक प्रकारले इभ्यालुएट गर्ने नि त. सो यसको लागि चाहिँ what I usually tell people, whoever is trying to build something, is think think from not from a developer perspective, because developers might sometimes try to find shortcuts. Think of it as a user. Would you use the app in the way, like, I see many students when they are trying to build authentication system, you know, they try to follow एकदमै पुरानो approach of putting up a form where they take in email and password and username from the user. But when I sign up to for any website and म आफै त्यो form fill up गर्न, it's very boring for me, you know. Only thing that we do at present day is click on the button sign up with Google, like third party
Right.
authentication, right? So this to approach our contemporary approach, what we see in our applications are in a UX point of view, but पनि feasible हुने solutions or implement गर्ने त्यो बाटोबाट we should start moving towards होइन डेभलपमेन्टको कुरा गर्दाखेरि. एन्ड अर्को भनेको चाहिँ एउटा कनेक्सन बिल्ड हुनुपर्छ. इफ यु ट्राइङ टु बिल्ड समथिङ, a full stack app build गरिरहेको छौँ भने चाहिँ नि, it needs to have a connection between different artifacts that we are trying to build, or the user navigation must be clear, right? If you're just building a model or solving fine tuning something भने चाहिँ you need to be considerate about the licensing things, right? Whether it is free, or whether the model has been trained on a data set that matches with your problem statement or not, right? So things like that. And the last question that you talked about, how to reach out to the mentors, right?
How
Yeah, I think.
get when to reach out and do that would, yeah. Sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So during the process of developing, कहिले चाहिँ reach out गर्ने होइन त. So yeah, I have had experiences where, like, okay, one example, a very good example. Actually, a student that I worked with last year, he was building a really beautiful application, and there was this artifact where he had to, find nearest nearest restaurants, right?
Mhm.
So he was stuck around, right? किनभने the API service that he was referring to, it was not pulling in enough data as it was required, right? So त्यो गर्दाखेरि he was just stuck trying to maybe find ways, read through the documentation time and again to see whether he was not hitting the correct route or not, right? So he spent around a week trying to figure it out. But two time, maybe if he had reached out to a mentor asking, are there other available API or data sources that I can refer to in order to solve this, then I think he would have saved himself a complete week, right? So
Wow.
this was the situation. I think you can always reach out to your mentor, finding out sources, data sources, or maybe architect. If you're training a model, Bunny, what kind of architecture you should be referring to, or what is the source that I should be referring to in order to find proper, uh, best models, things like that, maybe.
Wow, those are some very, very actionable advices. So I'm pretty excited for everyone to watch this.
Oh, I'm
So
excited to mentor actually.
So, Mira, last question. Say, we talked about why you're interested in being one of the mentors and what some advices that the participants can take. Last month, say, what's something that you want to see from the participants in this hackathon? I'm saying something that you personally want to see out of this.
Yeah, something I'm very confident about is, I think we're gonna have a bunch of great ideas, because there's so many. ideas are brimming around. So I'm really excited about some really new kind of ideas that we're going to get from the participants. That's number one. Other than that, I'm very much looking forward to you know, interactions too, right? Because there's definitely going to be maybe a lot many whys to the kind of suggestions that I give, right? And yeah, that's going to be exciting to together brainstorm and look forward to. All in all, I'm really really looking forward for the entire hackathon to be very productive in regards to, you know, I think it's going to be learning and growth in for both ways, even the participants, the mentor, the entire space, anybody watching, right? So I think it's going to be great fun with definitely amazing ideas and amazing solutions coming forward.
Wow. त्यही त म जोक गर्थेँ कि what if like a unicorn pops up from this hackathon? I was like, I need to get a percentage. But but no,
Yeah.
that was pretty much the end of the interview. Like, thank you so much for doing this. We are super blessed to have you as one of the mentors. Our participants, ko लागि चाहिँ who's watching, we hope these spotlight series inspire you a little bit more. And you're ready to go for the hackathon. So that said, probably any last words?
Yeah, best wishes for everybody participating, and I'm so excited to meet anyone, you know, looking forward to come up with their ideas. I'm always open. You can always send me a text on LinkedIn, like whatever way, anytime, no matter the time zone difference. Yeah, just I'm just excited to talk and make ideas, implement ideas that you have in mind.
Amazing. Okay, best of luck.